Nvidia and a lot of big tech stocks had a really red day today after the massive rally we saw the day before. We can see Nvidia was down roughly 6% today, and other big players were on the same pace. Now, on today's episode, I want to take a closer look at Google just recently announced a new AI chip, and many are wondering, is this game over for Nvidia? And then, unfortunately, we do have some kind of negative sentiments based on a few analysts that I follow, and I just want to share my overall thoughts here. Overall, the market is still pretty crazy, but there's always some good and some bullish sentiments to also look at. So we'll take a closer look at all that in today's episode. So let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first we're going to see Nvidia right now sitting at about $107 where the market closed on Thursday. Google, another company that I'm super excited about, is $155. Unfortunately, after hours, there does seem to be kind of more negative sentiments towards the stock market, so we are seeing some down prices. Now, let me say in the Mag 7, two of my favorite Mag 7 stocks right now are Google and Nvidia. These are two stocks that I would gladly continue to add to my portfolio via kind of individually or through various Mag 7 ETFs. I think these two are very strong, and a lot of other Mag 7s are, in my opinion, bullish for the long term as they have seen kind of a pullback. So even though stock prices suck today, I am very bullish and I am excited to continue to be a net buyer, even though in the short term, obviously things can continue to get worse, and this might not be the bottom, but luckily, at least right now, we're still much higher than that bottom we saw on Monday, April 7th. All right, so the first thing I wanted to look at was Google. They did have their Google Cloud 2025 event and keynote. The whole event is still going on, but I think we got all the big news that we needed to get from here. So if you haven't, check out the keynote. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. Maybe run it on 1.25 and skip some of the portions that you might not want to listen to, but they do talk a lot about the AI space. And overall, I mean, the whole thing is just that AI market is here, and the AI market continues to evolve, and pretty much every kind of product here had to deal with artificial intelligence. So overall, that kind of really just showcases that bullish thesis for the AI market, because if Google Cloud continues to innovate in this space, it means that there's a path forward here. So I see that kind of continued AI discussion to be very bullish for companies in the AI chip space. Now, Google, this is something that I haven't even heard many people talk about, but Google mentioned that NVIDIA's Vera Rubin GPUs will be offered on Google Cloud. So, I mean, it's safe to assume that every big cloud server provider is going to buy Vera Rubin's GPUs, which is the one after Blackwell Ultra, right? It's the B200, the B300 later this year, and then we have the Vera Rubin late 2026. So there's still a long time from there, but we already kind of have order confirmations and kind of these partnerships working together with Nvidia and Google, this kind of process of the Vera Rubin. So I thought that was actually very bullish, and it kind of shows the strong partnership that Nvidia and Google have. Now, Google also, we've known about this, but Google also talked about kind of their A4X and A4 virtual machines, which are powered by Nvidia's GB200 and VL72 and B200 Blackwell GPUs. So overall, strong demand there. Now, one thing that I didn't hear too much about was the GB300 here from Google. That's something to also keep a closer eye on to see. I'm gonna guess all these cloud server providers, but pretty interesting to see the Vera Rubin, but not really discussions about the B300 Ultra. Actually, a small correction after I ended up recording this video, I ended up Googling real quick, and cloud server providers Amazon, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle Cloud are going to be one of the first to offer Blackwell Ultra power instances. So it doesn't seem like we've seen it publicly from Google, but we can see Nvidia did talk about it during the GTC event about the big players doing it. So now, in forms of investments in the data center market, Alphabet continues to say that they're going to spend approximately $75 billion in 2025. And I believe over time, this is going to continue to go in a nice uptrend. So bullish term, long term, short term, there could always be small hiccups, and I'll actually talk about those little small hiccups. But long term, I do believe this number is going to continue and continue to get better. Now, one of the kind of bearish flags, if you are kind of maybe an Nvidia shareholder, is their new TPU, which is called Ironwood. Now, this is obviously bullish for Google because it allows them to kind of build more AI infrastructure faster. And I think this is why I believe Google is probably one that's going to get market share big. It's going to grow their market share in the clouding space faster than a Microsoft and an Amazon, is because their TPUs are really, really good, and they know how to build systems. So not only are they going to be building Nvidia systems, but because that is kind of a supply capacity market, they're also going to be building their own TPU systems, increasing that AI infrastructure faster than some of the other players. So for that reason, I think Google is probably one of my favorite cloud players in the Max 7. Now, if we kind of look at the Ironwood is a TPU that's really mainly meant for inference. Again, and Google is kind of developing a GPU for inference, we can definitely see the future where inference is kind of becoming a much important thing. And the reason is thinking models, right? Thinking models just need a huge amount of TPUs. So they kind of talk about their TPU here and how kind of it provides really strong solutions versus their Trillium TPU v6. Some of the reasons, though, is obviously this is kind of using a lower kind of floating point for computation, very similar to how Nvidia kind of does with the Blackwell platform as well. But overall, this again tells me that the AI inference, that the thinking model is only going to get bigger and bigger. The great thing is, like I mentioned, Google is great at building infrastructure. They can actually even scale this up to about 9,200 liquid cooled chips with breakthrough interchip interconnect and networking spanning nearly 10 megawatts. So many might say, hey, Jose, is this going to be a game changer for NVIDIA? I don't think so, right? And Google has developed 6 generations already of TPUs, and they continue to be a big partner of NVIDIA, and I believe that's going to continue to be the case. Also, this is meant for inferencing, but they talked about it that it's not going to be available till later this year. Throughout that whole time frame, these cloud platforms are going to be building a lot of GB200 systems, a lot of Blackwell systems, which are definitely meant for inference solution. So great for Google to be able to continue to build up its infrastructure, but I don't think I would say it's a competition to NVIDIA just yet. Now, this is, in my opinion, very bullish for Broadcom, right? I am not a Broadcom shareholder, but Broadcom is kind of the main player of the TPU design. So if Google Alphabet sells more TPUs, then obviously you're going to have Broadcom benefit from it. We can see Broadcom is probably in similar boats to NVIDIA, and we can see from nearly its 52-week high, the stock is down nearly 30%. So this is definitely kind of a bullish sentiment for Broadcom, as we've heard from their CEO that Broadcom expects a lot of revenue coming in from a lot of these AI ASIC solutions, and Google, in my opinion, is the biggest of them all. Now, Semi-Analysis, one of my favorite semiconductor analysis group out there, did kind of do post today, and I'm only going to talk about the free stuff that they have, right? I'm not going to talk about anything behind their paid wall, but they kind of talk about how tariffs can create some form of impact into the AI infrastructure investment cycle. And the main reason is any tariffs can lead to significant tightening of financial conditions. And while this might not affect the big AI players like your Google, like your Microsoft and all them, there are a lot of AI companies out there that are needed to kind of get that influx of money coming in. And if money gets a little bit more expensive, it gets tighter, if it's not as cheap as it is right now and it gets more expensive, then it could impact kind of those other startup companies, which are very big in the AI market, and that can create maybe a slowdown in AI infrastructure investments. So I still believe that the AI infrastructure market is a little bit more stickier than kind of the consumer market if consumer market starts to slow down. But I can see this case where kind of tariffs and a tightening in financial can create some short-term pressure, and that short-term pressure could create some looks of overcapacity. Again, something like this is more of like short-term things opposed to long-term things. So that's something to kind of keep a closer eye on. But for me, I do believe a lot of this tariff uncertainty will eventually kind of be fixed or not be as high as they are right now. So something to definitely consider. But overall, I still am very bullish for my Nvidias, for my AI investments. But I also understand that short-term volatility and things can look a little bit scarier than they are. But again, I talk about it on almost every episode. The money in my portfolio is money I don't need anytime soon. So in any forms of hiccups due to maybe monetary tightening, I would definitely take that opportunity to continue to be a net buyer. Now, the second thing that we kind of talked about from, or some analysts discussed here, was something we talked about in this channel before. There are reports that there are some loopholes under the Mexico and Canada agreement with the United States. And if you are kind of shipping some GPUs and AI servers from Mexico and Canada, you don't really get hit with any tariffs at all. And we've talked about it in the past where already a good portion of servers are coming out from Mexico right now. So again, maybe with the tariffs, it's so much uncertainty, but there are ways that maybe a company doesn't take a lot of cost. Now, kind of staying back here, so I think that was probably one of the biggest bearish things that I had for, or those were kind of like the two biggest bearish thoughts coming out from the market right now on Nvidia. First was the TPU, where I personally don't think is that much of a big deal, and it just showcases that the world is going to the thinking models and is going into inference, and I do believe Nvidia's Blackwell platform will do really well. The second bearish news was obviously kind of like tariffs. Creation of pressure in financial conditions could create some short-term impact to the AI infrastructure market. How much? That's again a lot of uncertainty. So things to consider in the short term of things. I think this is probably the biggest one. So I think everyone should be hopeful that maybe the tariffs don't really go any further, and we do see a lot of deals throughout the next few weeks and months. And I'm going to guess everyone should be hopeful, but again, continue to be a net buyer. That's what I'm doing. Now, Nvidia and Google actually are partnering up pretty cool. So Nvidia is collaborating with Google Cloud to bring agentic AI to enterprises seeking to locally harness the Google Gemini family of AI models using the Nvidia Blackwell HGX and DGX platforms and Nvidia's confidential computing for data safety. And the reason this is needed, kind of this on-premise dilemma, is some companies, because of security and how they need to handle data requirements, they are not able to use these kind of thinking models. So Google Cloud has kind of teamed up with NVIDIA, where Google kind of provides that AI solution. NVIDIA provides this kind of amazing infrastructure solution, and it allows these big players or whoever who can't kind of use cloud-based agentics to create their own solutions on-premise. So again, I do believe this is a great partnership between NVIDIA and Google Cloud, and I'm going to guess we're going to see this coming up with other players as well, and it's kind of entering and putting more AI solutions all over the world. Now, there is one more topic that I want to kind of discuss first. This is something that came out earlier last week, where it is reported that Chinese tech giants were buying about $16 billion of NVIDIA's H20 in Q1 of 2025 because of fears that there was going to be kind of export restriction added to the H20. And this is reported by The Information, and it seems to be like reported by Reuters as well. Now, recent reports are coming out that Trump reportedly has suspended NVIDIA's H20 export ban after a $1 million dinner with Jensen Huang. So overall, that could be seen very bullish, as the Chinese market, while percentage-wise is smaller than it was before, it's still an important market for them. I think this is Nvidia is not sending the best of the best chip over there to China because of regulations. And I think the H20 still allows the opportunity for Nvidia to continue to have a presence there, which I think is crucial. It is definitely pretty crucial for companies to still have a presence there and not be completely eliminated. It creates kind of more of a market condition over there and doesn't send all the money to Chinese competitors, right? So I think it's to the best interest. Now, the thing is, with all these back and forth with China and the tariffs, how is this going to impact kind of the H20? Will China say, hey, excuse me, because of all this, we're not even going to take any of your products or the H20, which I don't think they're going to do that because they do need to continue to develop their own AI solutions. So that would be kind of like shooting themselves in the foot. But it is possible. It's always possible for something like that to happen just to try to make a point. But regardless, at least for now, we still are seeing kind of strong demand from Chinese for the H20 export approved AI chip. Another thing to kind of keep a note of is we still have no real changes to the AI diffusion law. Rule that came in with the previous administration. So that's something we're going to have to wait because I do believe it goes in effect in May. So something that Nvidia shareholders should consider. So I think that's all I have for today's episode. I tried to kind of bring a lot of both bullish and bearish news. Again, a lot of the bearish news that I saw were more kind of short-term lift, in my opinion, where the long-term mentality should still be intact. But it's something that I wanted to bring up to others, investors' observations, especially because semi-analysis is definitely one of the few semiconductor analysis groups that I really do respect with the overall knowledge they present. So it's completely free. Make sure to check out their website for that. Again, with the Ironwood, I wouldn't really be too worried about, and we do see kind of that strong partnership with Google and Nvidia. So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.